10 principles based on my book. Number 1, every human being seeks progress. Right? But guess what? Not just progress in one area. You don't want to just be healthy. You want to be wealthy. And you want to have healthy relationships, enriched relationships, health, wealth, relationships, and any other category of life you can think about. Because human beings want to master their life across the board. And guess what else? Not only do you want to master your life and progress and make forward progress, but you want to move the lives of others forward. Right? I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 21. It's not a sad story. Okay? And at that moment, I realized that I not only want to get well for my own reasons, I have goosebumps right now, just thinking about my mom, but I wanted to do it for my mom because it was so hard on her. It was so hard. She was devastated. It's like she had cancer. You know? You can relate, right? And I said, you know what? I thought it was the end. I had this premonition. I thought it was, my sister's a medical doctor, said, you're going to be okay. I do know a relative of mine who died from it, Hodgkin's lymphoma. I said, you know what? I'm going to leave my family a gift. I was the class clown who failed all his classes in grade 11, except for PE. I don't think you can fail PE anyway. Maybe. So I said, I'm going to get straight A's in my final exams at university because they're never going to believe it. I got the A's to their surprise and mine, and I learned this valuable lesson. That if you want to get an A in life, if you want to finish first, not better than anybody else, but just the best version of yourself, you want to finish first, put yourself second. Because when I did it for mom, it was almost too easy. That's the first principle. We all want to move our lives forward and the lives of others. I called the book Fear Forward because we all want to move forward, and the only way to do that is to face your issues. But what do most people do? They brush them under the rug. They face every other thing except the thing. To make the greatest progress, you got to face the greatest issue in your life. To make the greatest progress, you got to face the greatest fear in your life. So I want you to think about what that could be right now. The fear that if you leverage, takes your health to the next level, your wealth to the next level. That takes your relationship to the next level. That's going to take courage. It doesn't take courage to overcome it. It just takes courage to face it. To say, you know what? I'm going to overcome my fear of public speaking because I know it's going to take my business to the next level. I'm going to overcome my fear of networking because it's going to take my business to the next level, right? It's just facing it. That's the courage that I'm suggesting. It doesn't take courage to overcome it. It takes wisdom. It takes techniques and know-how that you just don't have because I've been studying this for 24 years. You've been studying something else. So I could be sitting in the audience while you're speaking on your subject, right? That's all it takes. You just have tools you're lacking and missing in your toolbox. I'm going to help you fill. So number 1, we want to make progress. Number 2, we need the courage to face our greatest issue to make the greatest progress. Now, at the center of every problem sits fear. That sounds like the bad news, but the good news is fear, unlike stress and the other terms, can be leveraged. See, when you're stressed, you solve the problem at the superficial level. If you're stressed, what are you going to do? Go to the gym. Rest. Is that what you said? Yeah. Rest. Take a nap. Meditate. Have a massage. Eat. Smoke. Drink. Travel. You don't address the root of the problem. So you're stuck exactly where you are. The chains are holding you back. Fear can be leveraged. You're going to see how. Fear of the unknown doesn't exist. Because in order to have the emotion of fear is an emotion, agree? There needs to be substance, information, or what we call content in the mind. If your son or daughter came up to you with a smile on their face and say, what's with the smile? They're not going to say, I don't know. They say, because I'm going to the beach later, right? If they come with a sad look on their face, it's not going to be like, hey, why are you sad? I don't know. It'd be like, no, because you said I can't go to the mall. Fear requires information, content, substance in the mind. And this is why you're going to be able to leverage it. Now watch. If we don't fear the unknown, what do we fear? What we previously did before the past. I'm looking for another word. But you're right. Experiences. Keep the word unknown. Just remove the un. Right? If we don't fear the unknown, we fear the known, right? Okay. What is the known? Past experiences. Which means the mother of infinite fears is not the mystery of tomorrow, but the history of yesterday. What we fear above all else is yesterday reappearing today. What we call history repeating itself. Now, what is it about our past? It's not the entire past coming back. It's specific events you've judged in the past as being what? Bad, negative, right? Anything in the past you pin a label of negative on, you consciously or unconsciously fear it repeating. Right? I was walking the dog with my kid about a year ago, and we ran into a big dog, and my dog's a little Yorkie, and this dog was snapping at him. Ah! So I was like, "What's up with your dog? He's not very friendly." He's like, "Yeah, he was bitten as a child, as a puppy." See that? So my dog is reminding this dog of yesterday. So even with animals, the same holds true. Right? So anything in the past you label as negative, you are in bondage to, and it is running you like the tail of a dog wagging the dog. In other words, you're not run by the vision for your life. The past is running your future. That's a very disempowering concept. We're going to cover that in a second. So it's our past experiences. But there's two kinds of experiences that you've had. Direct experiences. I'm afraid of swimming because I nearly drowned. Direct experience, first-hand experience. Or I'm afraid of swimming because I witnessed, heard about, read about, or watched someone nearly drown. Right? Now, can you change your past? Is that a no or a hell no? Okay. You can't change the past, but you can change the effect it has on you. And the only way you do that is by rewriting the story you've been telling yourself. You change the story, you rewrite the story, you rewrite your history, which means you rewrite your future. Okay, I'll give you an example in a second as well. So here's how you rewrite the story. You got to complete your perspective. If a negative label is what's driving your fear, then we change the story and we add positive aspects to an event we've initially called negative. We complete our perspective on it. Fear evaporates. Literally evaporates. It's gone. I would literally hand the mic to someone who's afraid of speaking once I rewrite the story and they're on the stage. They own the stage. Right? Okay. Oxford University discovered something called anti-memories. You might want to look this up. We have memories, okay? Let's say a quote, traumatic thing that happened. I don't believe in trauma, okay? But let me just qualify that, is that something in the past happened, you call it negative, you perceive it to be trauma. I believe in perceived trauma. You perceive it to be traumatic, but you not only have the memory of the event stored. Can you guys think of something a long time ago that happened to you and you can remember like it was yesterday? You store it in high definition when it crosses an emotional threshold. But guess what you also store equally? Anti-memories. Anti-memory are the positive aspects of the event. And if you ask, which we're going to get to in a second, the right questions, you can complete your perspective. Now, number 10 is questioning your questions. You, instead of saying, why did cancer happen to me? What did I do wrong? That's what I asked. Why me? Why now? What did I do wrong? Right? Why is this always happening to me? Why do I always attract the wrong guys? Why every time I reach a level of success, do I then crash in business? Okay, I'm going to explain this in rewind, and then I'm going to share with you a story, and then we'll open up for Q&A. Cool? Okay. When you question your questions, and the question is, what was the advantage of this happening? What was the advantage of me experiencing exactly the thing I wish I didn't experience? It sits over here, the answer, in the blind spot, like in the car. You can't see it. But that's the question you want to ask. The counterintuitive question. that says, what was the advantage of my mom beating me up at age 5, which was someone I just worked with in Canada. She couldn't sleep. And then when I cleared it, I said, how'd you sleep last night? She's like, Oudi, I'm back. Because now she wants to promote it like crazy. She couldn't even get the event off the ground because she's so tired. So question the question. What was the advantage that's happening to me? That will complete your perspective, rewrite your story, transform your experience, clear your judgment. You're now no longer run by history. You leverage the emotion of fear. You uncover courage, and you make forward progress. Okay? True story of a lady who's no longer with us that I had the honor of coaching. She was a coach, and she said, I just, every time my business reaches a certain level of success, I self-sabotage. You guys heard that concept? Okay. So I said to her, okay, so you can't, so you're afraid of self-sabotaging again, right? Any fear you have now, I'm afraid of speaking, comes from an event in the past. We traced her fear all the way back. I know some of you are not going to believe this, and that's okay. And I didn't believe it either. We traced it back to when she was a teenager and when she was younger and younger. And then she was sitting there, biting her fingernails and rocking and curled forward. Where do you think she was? In the womb. In the womb. I said, are you in the womb? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh. I had to check this, make sure this baby was working. And it was. I said, are you in the womb? I said, yeah. I said, you sure? I said, yeah. She's crying, right? I said, what's going on there? She's like, I'm afraid of being born. I don't want to be born. That was the negative experience causing her fear. And I said, why don't you want to be born? She said, because my brother is handicapped. He's disabled. And I don't want to outshine him. And so we went back to that event, to that experience, and we rewrote the story. I said, so what is the advantage of you being born, quote, normal? And she said, I could be there for him. I could support him. I could show him the way. You know, I could bring meaning to my story and my life. And she kept going until she got to tears. Because when you complete your perspective perfectly, you have what's called autonomic nervous system regulation in the brain, gamma wave synchronicity, and you cry. That's according to the work of Dr. John DeMartini. She started crying, and she's like, I'm there. And I said, are you afraid of kicking ass in your business now? She said, no. I said, are you ready to shine? She said, yeah. I know it's hard to believe it's that simple. I'm going to go to the story of the Canada gal real quick, just to give you another little flavor. She's stressed out, right? Because her business doesn't recognize her and they're treating her unfairly. So I said, if that's what you're afraid of right now, of this persisting, there's a history to it. What does it remind you of? Within seconds, she's like, no, there's nothing. Wait, hold on a second. Wow, there's something I haven't been able to shake since I was 5. And I said, what is it? She said, we live in a White House, not the White House, but in a white colored house. And somebody wrote on the outside of the house. My mom came outside. We're renting, right? And so my mom came outside because the owner was going to be pissed. And she started beating me up. It was so unfair. I said, so can you see fairness right now is what's stressing you out? And that was a memory that shares critical elements. That's the part that's sometimes hard for people to find, but she found it. So yeah, I said, so what was I know it's difficult. I know there's negatives. I'm not just saying there's no negatives there. I said, what is the advantage of it happening to you? She's like, it hurt. I said, I get that. That's there. You can't change the past, but you can rewrite it. She said, you know what? I said, did you get closer to your mom? I said, no, I started distancing myself. I said, so what did that involve? I started after school, spending time with friends. At age 5, imagine. I started coming home late when the street lights came on. And I said, and how did that help you? I started building relationships. I started networking. That was the word I threw in. She didn't really see it like that. But I said, were you networking? She's like, yeah, I kind of made connections. I became resourceful. I became resilient. And we traced her timeline all the way to where she is now. This is what defines her now. This is how she defines her mind. I'm resourceful. I'm resilient. I said, so was it an experience that was negative only or negative and positive? She said, both. I said, is it positive and negative equally? She said, yes. Ding. I said, how you feel now? She said, I feel free. She just kept saying thank you. She'd say something, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. So my perspective, it was my perception, it was my this, it was my that. I said to her, let's see if it has an impact, right? Because we're trying to get a result. This is impacting her business. I need to see, are you able to get a good night's sleep and be fresh tomorrow? Next day, slept beautifully. How's business? Perfect.